Uh, describe a time when you were faced with problems or stresses that tested your coping skills. How about years and years of stress and coping? Um, but let's pinpoint some occasions throughout the years. My mother is a very stressed out person, so I had to bear that for years. I wasn't talking about that when I said just now, years and years. Many other things and times, hard times. But as I said, let's pinpoint some occasions. I was a manual construction worker, and I had a boss who had like methods of dealing with his stuff, like something like a sergeant in the army. Yeah. And that, I was at that time 17, 18 years old, and with the young minds, sometimes you need to be tough, so they learn some things. That's not my personal style, but I understand that. Yeah. At that time, my father and my mother was left out of a job, and well, we were going through some rough patch there, and with the war and everything. And I was working with my father in construction, and that was our boss there. And now I remember that there was some occasion that he would treat my father same, and that hurt me. But at the time I was not big enough to and conscious enough to understand what's going on and to do something about it. But yeah, I'm not holding grudges there at all, but that's one experience that I think we should be able to talk about our experiences. Try to find right occasion and right way and right reasons to talk about your experiences. And some people would take this any opportunity to blacken other people. That's not why I'm talking like ever about anything. I try to like this interview. This interview is made in a coaching manner, and one of the things why I'm doing this is I believe that people, when they hear stories, they're gonna learn from them, and that their path is gonna be easy. Yeah. In between me looking for partners and investors and others, you can find so many uses for something like that. Yeah. Anyway, let's pinpoint some occasions throughout my life where I was faced with stress and then learned how to cope with everything. When I was first time going to work abroad, I had a boss who was a stressed out person. His personality was just like that. He would be very fast talking, very screaming while talking, and going down the hall and talking to himself and very fast. And yeah, but that's his personality. And with people like that, when they don't break some ethical codes and they don't cross certain borders, that's understandable and tolerable. And I was tolerating it, and so did everybody else. However, I did face one occasion where there was a time, sometimes in a job, when assistant manager was not coming to relieve people of duty to go to take their dinner or lunch. Sometimes justifiable, as sometimes you're busy or whatever. But sometimes also not justifiable. So on one occasion when there was nobody coming and there was nobody to be served in the place, in the bar and in the restaurant, I just, and there was other people working, so I told my colleagues, I said, I'm going down to have my dinner. I cannot wait for that. I'm hungry. I go down, I'm going down. And it was my time to go. And I went down and I was having dinner for like 10 minutes and that person came down to scream at me. And he was screaming, how could you leave, blah, blah, blah. I said, I don't care. Not I don't care about guests. I was just there. I know there is nobody there. And, how could you leave? I said, please, I'm going to finish my dinner and then I'm coming up. And so I did. He left. I finished my dinner like in 5 minutes and I came up and of course not a soul to be served. And you know, in situations like that on the ship, if that was a clear issue of your behavior, you would get a warning, written one, and to sign it. And then 3 warnings means you're going home, you're out of your job. You know, so that's not something that's not dangerous to do, and that's that's one of my stand-up stories. Yeah. Then when I was running this real estate agency, I had many clients, and on one occasion, the person that we were mediating for came to my office and started to scream at me. Where is my money? I want my money. I said, madam, please calm down. We don't give out money here. I don't know where that came from, and still today I don't, because that person didn't contact me after. But you know, when you do a lot of things, you meet a lot of people, and some situations happen. You have to deal with those. And another person came to my office, and that day I guess I was stressed out and busy, whatever. And when that person started to scream at me, I said, door, get out. That's not way to deal with clients. And for some time I wanted to get back to that person, but I was over my head in many things, so I didn't. But when I got a chance, I did. And I met that person and I said, hi, how are you? I was hoping to see you. Did your husband tell you that I was looking for you? Did he call you for coffee to come to me? She said yes, and nice to see you too. And conversation started nicely. However, what followed? What followed is that I saw that that person is very smart and very lucid. And, you know, when somebody is not satisfied or irritated for some reason, you deal with that person. And I don't have much experience with situations that I couldn't get to a better level. But when the person comes to make trouble, that's a different story. And it's very justifiable to suspect that that person was making trouble from everything that followed. As I saw that that person started to pile up negative events. And I saw that, again, that person is smart and lucid. And I saw that person is would be, you know, in conversation when somebody, for the smallest detail, would jump down your throat, and other things. As she told me, I'm such a good person, and people in this place are like, everybody's so bad. I heard that sentence before, and from where I stand, like, when you are when you are inclined being kind and understanding and lovable. And on the other hand, you're inclined to misunderstand people and you are jumping down their throat and you're doing things like that. You're battle oriented, and when you have those two things, those differences, you're gonna have a different perception. As when somebody would tell me, people in this place are bad, I wouldn't think immediately that person thinks that all the people are bad. I would, that's stupid. That person, I believe, would be talking about her experience with some people. And I would try to understand the person. But if you're inclined in a different way, yeah, then you're gonna perceive that as that person is talking about everybody. Or do you? Or do you play some games? Anyway, it's very hard, to pinpoint double talks and to expose those. But the more experience you get and the more interactions you have, you're getting more experienced in certain matters and you can read things better. We need to be kind and understanding and lovable. We can't be putting our armor around us and then walking like that around and spreading negativity. Many people are doing that, and that's shoot first, then ask questions. What are you doing? You're provoking around, you're going to battle, you're making war. And then you're saying it's somebody else's fault. It's just wrong. I know some people, they wait for you to jump you behind the corner, verbally, literally, and stab you in the ribs while you're not looking. And I don't know why you live like that. Why you don't? If you have something to say, come out and say it. So, all that is part of stress and coping. And that person right there was trying to tell me how I was then not so nice person as I am now. And all that she got from one interaction in a few minutes or two, I'm not sure. And then and she tried to close that conversation like that. And I said, no, you don't close your conversation with me like this. I'm gonna give you a piece of my mind. And then I told her, madam, I went through more than 50 countries prior to our encounter. And I served so many people. As I've been around the world and, working on ships, you get mainly, I was working on ships who are big and they have 1,000 crew and 2,000 guests coming every Sunday. 2,000 new guests coming. So imagine in 9 years, how many people is that? Oh, not all ships were so big, but yeah. Yeah, sometimes, when you deal with people like that, you need to give them halt, because they're gonna do that and harass somebody else later. Yeah. I have so much experience with stress and coping, more than I'm willing to talk about. Yeah. We need to be kind, we need to be understanding, and we need to be lovable. And then people on the street are gonna be smiling more. not to build walls and stuff. Like I was looking to a documentary where these society issues of poor and rich are being on target. In India, in Mumbai, there's those slums, and they don't know how to deal with it. You know, to fix that kind of sank society is a big job. But we can't be, you know, they want to put a wall and separate those two things. That might be a good idea, but you need to not to shut everything out and condemn those people to that kind of, you know, garbage. And we need to try to fix everything. Because what are we becoming? What are we becoming if we treat other people like that and we leave them dry? We leave them like they're nothing. And I know that's quite some job. And I know that it's not easy. As I really have experience. I have experience across society, not only poor, rich. I've dealt with so many people, all different kinds of society spheres, and because of that, now I can take all that and put it in a better use and contribute. And as I see it, that's very connected to what I do: design, real estate, and construction. Yeah.